Hello, Life Vantage. This is Darren Jensen coming to you live from our offices here in Salt Lake City, Utah, in our Studio B. And it's another a beautiful but cold day here at Life Vantage. You know, I got up this morning and it was 21 degrees. I don't know about fall, but I think we completely jumped fall and went right into winter. But wherever you're at, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today, we have a continuation of our personal development series, and we have a very special guest. Her name's Deb Erickson, who's going to be joining us, and I'm going to read you a little bit about her background in just a moment, because before we do that, let me just remind everyone that our next main event is our Destination Elite Academy in Cancun, Mexico, and that's February 6th through the 10th. Now, I know that during our recent Elite Academy in Long Beach, that we only had like 100 rooms left. So if you have not had a chance to book those rooms, make sure that you call today, get it booked here with the company, because if you think to yourself, well, just, I'll wait and I'll just Airbnb it and come on in and do the activities. That's great. That's something you can do, but be aware that the resort charges you $150 a day per person to come onto the resort, because then you have, they give you full access to all the food and the entertainment and whatnot. So it may not be the best strategy to do it that way. So definitely give us a call, book your rooms before they're out, because the hotel is almost full. All right, so with that said, let's move on and learn a little bit about Deb. Let me read to you part of her bio. It says, Deb Erickson has worn a lot of hats in her 25 plus years in network marketing and the direct sales industry as a top-ranked leader, an in-demand author, leadership trainer, corporate consultant, and keynote speaker. But hands down, her favorite is being a transformational business mindset expert for entrepreneurs ready to move past their personal mental blocks and self-sabotage to become selling and recruiting superstars. Her secret weapon, easy results, hold on, let me read this right. Her secret weapon is easy results-driven brain retraining tools based in neuroscience that quite literally snap men and women out of their business plateaus with newfound confidence, clarity to rank advance with ease and grace. And with that, let me welcome Deb Erickson on to our program today. Deb, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Darren, thank you so much for having me on. And I just got to say to, all of your Life Advantage folks that are on, whether you are a leader, whether you're in network marketing and you're just participating or just starting, today, my intention is to give you a real tool that will help you bridge the gap from where you are to where you want to go. So thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it is a pleasure. Now, Deb, typically before I start these calls, or as we get started, I normally give away a shirt or something, but you were so gracious to offer an alternative prize for us to do during this broadcast. What is it?
Yeah, you know what? I've got a book, Get Out of the Rut and On With Your Life. I wrote it about 7-8 years ago. And I also have a companion workbook to go with it that helps people identify their business ruts. And I give in it the tools and techniques that you're going to need to move yourself out of those ruts. I'm going to give 3 copies of the book and 3 of the workbooks to your listeners today.
Wow, awesome. So with that, guys, put down your name, your city, your state, country where applicable into the comment section, and we'll get you into the drawing for one of those 3 books. And thank you, Deb, for giving those to us so that we can offer them to our Life Vantage people who are watching. So again, name, city, state, and country where applicable, and we'll get you into the drawing. But let's say, Deb, that I end up not winning the book. Can I get your book on like Amazon also, or where can I find your book if I just wanted to buy it?
Absolutely. Go to Amazon. That's the easiest way to get it. You can Google me or Google Get Out of the Rut and On With Your Life, and it'll come up for you.
Wonderful. Well, Deb, now, as we read through your bio, it said basically that you were focused on results-driven brain retaining tools. And so, being in direct selling, I hear people all the time talk about the importance of a business mindset. Why would you say that having this business mindset is so critical for success as an entrepreneur?
Great question. Great question. And I'm going to show you some pictures because, I'm kind of a teacher at heart. That was my first career, was a teacher, until I realized I couldn't make any money teaching, although I loved it. And that's when when I found network marketing and fell in love. But let me just show you a visual, because what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so I want to show you this. This is what's happening to everybody as they join the network marketing arena. And by the way, let's stop for a second and talk about some statistics and numbers and tell you this, right? Here's what's happening when you join. You come in, you're excited, you are on this side of the cliff, which is the side that says, I have to learn skills and tools and techniques. I need to know the unique business skills. I need to learn business systems that are critical for success, right? And so as you come in and you join this side of the equation, you're learning, you're growing, you are focused on what you want, why you want it, how to get what you want, the tools, the techniques, all of it. Here's the problem. In order to bridge this gap, the mindset gap, and get over into leadership, you got to learn how to apply. Right? You take the things that you are learning, and now what we have to do is use them on a daily basis. You got to use your income producing activities every day. You've got to learn how to network, how to sell, how to recruit, but we got to be doing it on this side of the equation. The gap is what's happening inside, right? That causes you to not make this leap. So first of all, let me be really clear that this is true for business no matter what industry you're in. So as an example, did you know that the numbers or the statistic for real estate agents, 90% of the people that get their real estate license never sell a single property? 90%. 95% of all small businesses fail in the first 5 years. I want you to hear the common numbers here, right? 92% of people who become an insurance agent, right, and go through the process of getting their license, 92% of them quit after the first year or fail. They go through their family and friends, and then it gets tough and they quit. So when we look at our industry and we say, hey, 95 to 97%, something like that, of the people who join us don't bridge this gap and make it into leadership levels. I want you to kind of see the common energy that these are the same statistics. It's human nature. It's the way business is. So the reason business mindset training is so critical is if you can't become the boss of your own brain and close this gap, you never get to the money. You never get to leadership. You never get to residual income and the kind of leveraged business that the industry promises, but the vast majority of people never get to. It's because they crash and burn on this side. They don't make this leap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But so I guess, a question that I would have is, okay, so how would I know if I have a mindset block? So, because sometimes, the first part of anything is coming to the realization that, hey, I may have the block, or that somebody else does. How do I know that someone has this mindset block? Because if we have such a high failure rate in all of these different industries, obviously people aren't noticing it.
Well, I think you know that you're stuck. You will say things like, I hit a wall. I know what to do, but I can't get myself to do it. I've been too busy. I'm overwhelmed. You hear a lot of those kinds of comments, but the truth is simply this: all mindset blocks, all emotional stoppers, mindset blockers, behavioral habits that are limiting you, all of it starts with fear. So there's a part of the brain, the fear center of the brain is active in all human beings. And what it does is it looks for anything that could threaten us. And basically it blocks you or causes you to avoid that behavior. So if you come into our industry and You say, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to offend. I don't want to push. I don't want to do that. What's happening is your brain is already defining the very activities that are required for success as a threat. So what happens is your brain's not going to let you do anything that's going to cause you harm. It's not going to cooperate with you, so to speak. So how you know you have a problem is you know what you want. You know how to get what you want. In other words, you've learned the skill sets, but you're not doing them. And there's always a million excuses of why you're not doing it. But the bottom line is you're not doing it. You're not doing it on a daily basis. And so if you're sitting here today and going, I know what I want. I want to build a significant business, right? And I know why I want it, because I want freedom for my family. And I've taken the classes. I put money into how to sell, how to recruit, how to represent my company, and on top of that, the company has brought out the most amazing new product line. I mean, everybody in your company, in LifeVantage, they should be so excited right now because you guys did your work and you are providing them with a leading edge next step for them, a product that is unmatched in the industry. The question has got to be, Darren, does the individual, when they look at all of those things lined up, do they say, great, I know exactly what I'm going to do and I will do it today. I can get it done today. And if they can't, I promise you there is a mental or emotional or a behavioral stopper or blocker that's getting in the way of you being able to easily and gracefully and with speed get the thing you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as I'm sitting here listening to you, Deb, okay, so there are these blocks that people have, and as you were talking about how people try to resist, or you said that they know what they need to be doing and they have the skill set and know what they're supposed to do, but they don't, so there's some type of block. Why do we have these blocks? I mean, I see it so often in people in the field. I see it in corporate. I see it myself a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. How come we have these blocks? What would you see as the main reason why we even have them in the first place?
Well, the brain is wired to protect and defend. The brain is wired to pay attention to the negative. So in other words, your brain is wired to listen to fear. And we all have fears based on our past and the stories that we're telling ourselves. So we're kind of scaring ourselves with our own stories. Like if I share this product or this company or the industry, people are going to say, oh, you're doing the pyramid thing. Everybody is trying to protect and defend. So it's really coming from fear. All blocks come from fear. But here's the big thing. Most of us live oblivious to the fears that are controlling our life. So our life is on automatic pilot. So the subconscious mind is running the show, and you are avoiding the very things, the very activities, the daily activities you need to be doing. And you're not even aware of it. You're not consciously aware of it. So it's really tough to change when you have no conscious awareness that your brain is sabotaging your behavior, trying to protect you. So it's really trying to do a good thing. It's just not what's really wanted.
So let's say that, let's look at a couple of scenarios, because as I see this, there's at least two. How do I help myself get over these? But as a leader, how do I help my people get over these mindset blocks? So maybe why don't we take me as a leader?
Okay.
If I recognize that people in my team have a mindset block, one, how do I recognize, or what are some of the key signs? You gave a few. I didn't know if there's other very specific ones. And then what would you recommend that me as a leader should be doing to help someone? Because ultimately my goal as a leader is to help that person become successful, because the more successful people I can create, the more that I become successful. So how do you do that?
Well, first of all, you're talking my language. You're preaching to the choir right now, because this is why I decided to do what I'm doing. So in other words, I learned a little bit about neuroscience, a little bit about neurocoaching, so that I could give leaders the tools they need to help all of the distributor force that's on their team, because that was my experience. I was so frustrated as a leader because I saw potential. I could, I'd recruit somebody and immediately I'd say, oh, look at the potential. And then I would push and pull and drag and bribe and motivate and inspire. I mean, we do actually as leaders trying to help people because we love and we care and we hold a vision. Sometimes we believe in them more than they believe in themselves, right? And all of that I experienced myself. And I realized that I was lacking the skill to help people close that gap, to jump over the gap. So, as a teacher and a coach, which was my original training before I got into network marketing, I knew that there had to be a mindset skill, right, that I could give someone to help them close that gap. I knew it had to be there. And that's really what I went looking for. And so I'm going to give you a couple of quick questions, Darren. The first question a leader should ask is, does this individual know what they want, right? Are they clear about the target? You got to have a target for your goals, your dreams. You got to have a target. Do you know what you want and why you want it? Question number one. Do you know, does this person of mine, does my team know what they want and why they want it? And if they don't know that, then let's do some coaching and help them really dig deep to a core why. Once they've got that, then I have to ask, do they know how to get the thing they want? That's where skill training and strategy training and everything your company does to support them, that's where that comes in. Once I'm convinced that my people know what they want, why they want it, and they know how to get there, then I have to ask this question: are they doing what they know they need to do on a daily basis? Are they doing it? And are they doing enough of it? So a lot of people think that if they want to rank advance, they have to add 10 people a month to their team. And they feel like if they make a phone call a day, they're doing good. So part of my job as a coach is to say to people, okay, it's just not enough quantity there, right? Not enough quantity, or it's not quite the quality. But here's the key. Most people who sincerely want to achieve their goals and dreams, they want to do the activity, but if they're not doing it, then as a result, as a leader, you can feel what's happening. You're the one doing the motivating, the inspiring, the pushing, the pulling, the dragging, the coaching, the leading, the prodding. And if you're in that behavior, there's a mindset block, right? If people want something they're not getting, if they keep showing up and saying, I want it, I'm gonna do it, but they're not doing it, you know that there's something in between. See, I don't believe people are lazy, and I don't believe that people just can't do it, like they don't have enough going on upstairs. The truth is, if you want something bad enough, you figure out how to do it. So that means if they want it and they want it bad, then it's our job as leaders to give them tools. The cool thing about mindset is we know, this is science, we know the tools to give them, right? There are hundreds. I've created 60 neuro tools. So when somebody comes to me and they're like, okay, here's the block I have. I'm sabotaging, I'm in overwhelm, I'm making excuses, I'm scared. I can give them a tool that helps them silence the fear and move boldly into action. So basically what we're learning as leaders is we're learning two sets of skills. We're learning skill sets, strategy, skill set, business skills, and we're learning mindset skills. So in other words, how do I help someone bridge that gap? So let me just say this to you, Darren. Did you know that men tend to have less mindset blocks, or maybe I should say different kinds of mindset blocks, because men know how to just push themselves past fear and into action. Men's thinking process, they have gaps between their thoughts. Did you know that? And women, we don't have gaps. We have a thought, and our thoughts escalate. That's why women catastrophize so much, because once they have a first thought, like, uh-oh, then it only gets worse from there, right? And guys, actually, they'll have a thought, then there's a gap. So during that gap, there's no thought at all. We're looking at you going, what are you thinking? What's happening? Because you're not talking. And men always say to us, nothing. But we don't believe them, because it's like our thought, we don't have no thoughts. We have constant thoughts. So what happens for men is in that gap, they can have no thought and they can just push themselves into action. And women don't have that. So we have to learn how to silence thought in order to step into action. So it's really, as a coach, you want your people to understand the subtle nuances and the requirements to become the boss of your own brain, and teach the people on your team how to boss their own brain, right? How to silence fear and move into action.
I'm still trying to determine, Deb, if you saying that men have a gap in thought, if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But
it's a good thing.
Well, you know, when you were talking about that, it reminded me, I saw this little meme come across on social media where there's a man and a woman in bed, and the wife is looking at the man because he's kind of like staring off into something like deep in thought, and she's already catastrophized and said he's thinking about another woman. And then it shows the guy's thoughts in his brain, and he's like, now if I change the oil in the lawnmower, what would, you know, or something, you know, stupid like that, or I wonder who would beat Star Trek or something, you know, it's just some crazy thought. But
right.
When you said that, you were talking about that, you know, a lot of us have these blocks, and you started throwing off a number of them, like you said, fear, sabotage, overload, and I couldn't get notes down on all of them. What would you say is the most common block that you see? I don't know if you want to talk about people or maybe in this industry. What would you say is the most common one?
Okay. Yeah, for men and women, it's probably different. Many times men's fear is around failure. You know, they don't want to let people down. They want to provide. They want to be seen as the hero. There's this image that has to be maintained, and they are afraid they can't step up to that. So there is this kind of thing about achievement and fear of failure, where for women, many times they're about relationships. And so they're more afraid of what will people think of me, and what will they be saying, and how will that ostracize me? And it's kind of completely different energy around. Women are afraid to fail, some, but not in the same frames of reference, not for most women. I'm really overgeneralizing here. The truth is, one of the things I always teach is that there's a continuum, right? And men tend to be on one side of the continuum, but it's also for women who understand the energy of force. They understand doing and action. You know, these are the athletes. These are type A personalities. And so that side of the equation, they are looking to compete and to win and to achieve and to acquire. And so guess what they do? They recruit up. But on the other side of the equation, women who are trying to fit in and belong and keep the status quo and make sure everybody's happy, they tend to recruit down. And the other thing that's really scary is that men have a wonderful, please hear me, a wonderful mechanism in their brain that always sees themselves as better than they actually are. There's all kinds of science to show this. We do not. We do not always. Probably do. I'm pretty sure that that's true. Yeah, it's a great asset. It's a great asset. So let me show you why. Because when a guy, let's say, I'll tell you the study. The study was they put young men and women, they were college age kids. They gave them a skill set, taught them something they didn't know how to do. Then they tested them. Everybody who scored a 7 put in a room. They said, how do you think you did? The guys all said, I think I got a 9 or 10. Elevated, right? They elevated their experience. Women all said, I don't think I did so well. Maybe 5 or 6. They devalued themselves. And as they followed these kids through their life, because the study went on for 20 years, what they discovered is this seems to be pretty universal, that probably testosterone, it's probably, the way our minds are structured differently, that men will escalate value. So when they go to recruit, because they're wired to compete and to acquire and to succeed, they will recruit up. Where women are wired to fit in and blend and have relationships and nurture. And so when they start seeing themselves lower, so they have a lower self-esteem or lower value, and then they go down because their mindset is, I'm going to lead this person If I'm only a 6, how can I possibly go get a 9 or 10? And so women will find people who will follow them, who need them, so they have someone to nurture. And so these are just kind of natural things that we have to look at as human beings and go, yeah, that's not serving me. I mean, if you're a woman and you're doing that in your business, you're recruiting down, you're going to be dragging. But when you recruit up, you're going to be chasing, right? You're going to have people that are more independent, more focused, more intentional. So as a woman, if you are a 7, but you see yourself as a 6, you're going to recruit 5s. The 5s that you recruit are going to go find 4s. And so generationally in our organization, you just see people who are less focused, less committed, less driven, less intentional, instead of more. So it's a fascinating understanding with no judgment. Hear me, you got to have a no judgment zone about this. As a coach, you want to help people understand, oh, this is what my brain is doing. This is not about my value or worthiness. This is what my brain's doing. And now that I can catch myself doing it, how can I change? How can I look at it and say, is that serving my business? Is it serving my success? And if it's not, man, let's do something about it today. That's where we want to give them the tools, Darren, to close that gap.
All right. So let's take that question. So, we talked about groups before. Let's talk about me as an individual, each of us. How do I move past my own mindset challenges? And then as I do, what can I expect as I break through these challenges? What type of results do you see in people that you work with and coach?
Right. So step 1 is always awareness. You have to become aware in order to change anything, right? So you're going to have to be consciously aware of, oh, I just got triggered, right? And my brain is now starting to resist. I'm beginning to hesitate. What I want to do is move into action. There's a great study just recently. Neuroscientists are saying that once you get an impulse to act, so in other words, you say, ooh, there's someone I want to recruit. You see him at Starbucks and you say, I want to go recruit that person. I want to go start a conversation with that person. That's somebody I want on my team. I'd love to meet that person. In that moment, you have the urge to act. You have a 3 to 5 second window. That's it. If you move into action, your action is easy, effortless, speed, because that's the way we're designed, to move with ease and grace and speed. If you hesitate and you begin to talk yourself out of it, so the mental chatter gets in for women a lot of the times, right? It's like, oh, I'm not dressed, I don't have my materials, I'm not ready, I don't know what to say. Our mind just goes into all of this resistance. And when that happens, after a 3 to 5 second window, all of a sudden, now you tend to hesitate and pull back. And now what you've done is you've woken up the fear center. Now you got to overcome the fear center. So the best thing we can do, Darren, is know what we want and move into action immediately, right now. And if you wait and you activate the fear center, now you have to overcome fear. So once again, guys who know how to do that, they kind of just quiet everything and they just push through. Some women can do that too, but the vast majority of women better have the skill to learn to silence that fear so that they can move back into action. So that's the first thing. Awareness is everything. They got to learn what's happening and be able to recognize it moment to moment to moment. And then when I say be the boss of your own brain, I mean that literally. You're talking to yourself and you're giving yourself the tools to calm that fear and move yourself into action. So what you're going to do is on 2 different levels. I always tell people this neuroscience and neuro tools that to close the gap, it happens in 2 ways. The first is a conscious shift in the now, right? So I need to get myself out of fear and into action right now. One of the things I've done is I've created these tools that are accessible online. So people can, when they see someone they want to approach, they've let themselves hesitate too long, the fear center is activated, they can literally dial in, grab a neuro tool, listen to it, right? Shift their mindset right now and move into action. So once they've learned how to do it, they don't even need the app anymore. But the idea is that you've got to be able to fill that gap so that you can move. And that's like a right now tool. So think of it this way. If your fear is sitting on a scale of 1 to 10, your fear is sitting up here at 8 or 9, and your why, your what and your why are sitting at an 8 or a 9, fear will win every time, because fear is active in your subconscious mind, which is 97% of the power. So what we want to do is kind of be able to get our energy in the right space so we can reduce the fear to a 2 or 3. And we want to elevate our what and our why, activate the motivation center of the brain so that that side can win. I always tell people, you can tell which is more active in your experience on a moment-to-moment basis, because if your what and your why, your desire, your motivation center is what's winning, you're in action. And if you're not in action, then your fear center is winning. It's really about conscious awareness first, and then it's about using tools. And the second kind of tool is really a long-term brain retraining tool, which is simply this. It's artificially doing for us what seems to happen for a lot of guys naturally, which is to see themselves in a better light, not in a lesser light, right? So it's kind of like, as we begin to have the language, you're listening to language that's telling you how amazing you are and how unstoppable you are. You know, all of us should have had that loving other person in our lives tell us, Darren, you're amazing. You're unstoppable. You can do anything you want, dude. I mean, just step into your boldness and go take it. You see something you want, go get it. So if you're in action and you're moving past fear, somewhere you have in your mental library, you have that core message. And if you're not moving past your fear, then you probably have message of the fact that you don't deserve it, or you're not as good, or you're not enough. And so we have to be able to plant for people those power messages that allow them to move when the time comes.
Well, very good. Well, Deb, our time is just about up. Are there any important questions that I have not asked that you think I should have asked? Or is there anything more that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, you know what I'd love to do for a second here? I put something together for your people. And basically what I wanted to be able to offer everybody was an opportunity to basically get some of these resources. So I want to give them one of my favorite neuro tools. And basically that's a tool that allows you to reprogram the mind so it does that long-term changing that we were talking about. It's going to allow them to do that, even though they may not have that tool by themselves. And so let me tell you what the tool is, and then I'm going to take you to the page so everybody can access it. So first of all, let me tell you what the tool is. It's called a binaural recording, It's kind of the newest thing in neuroscience. And basically what it is that you have different messages coming in the right side and the left side of the brain. So you put in headphones, right? You get your earbuds in, and as you're listening, one side, it's stereo. So one side is saying, you're amazing. And the other side is a personal affirmation that says, I'm amazing. Now, let me tell you why this is so important, is because most people who are struggling with mindset, they've got more negative chatter than they do positive emotion or positive energy, positive messages. So what we want to do is give people the resources that they need. And so I created this little landing page for everybody, but let me show you what it is. Right here, on this first side, it says, learn why your mindset is key when it comes to success and get a free business mindset makeover. So that's where you get the binaural recording. Just click here, put in your information, and you're going to get access to a couple of short little videos. They're like 3 to 5 minutes long. And you're going to get the binaural recording you can listen to 24/7 to help you begin to retrain the brain with these elevated core messages. And then the second thing I wanted to give everybody was an opportunity to learn more about how, if you are not adding to your team, if you're not bringing people in, whether that is higher level customer base or recruiting people to be on your team, on your sales team, if you're not in those activities, and We know we have to be. So if you're not really doing that, I wanted to create a free hour-long training to explain specifics, right? So it's really going to look at the fear center and how it's impacting that specific activity. What's happening, how it's happening, and what you can do to become the boss of your own brain. So it's great free training. At the end of it, if people say, man, that's fantastic, Deb, I want to play some more, there's more information there. So I don't want to go through all of that. I just want you to know, free hour of training around mindset recruiting blocks. Recruiting blocks. And then this is an audio and video training to reprogram. And then if you have leaders on your team or leaders that are listening today and they say, Deb, I love this. I want to learn to do what you're doing. I want to learn how to coach. I want to learn how to help my people and my team. I didn't have anything to just give away except, you guys can contact our team and we'll do a free consultation and ask you some questions about your team so we can offer the right solution. I want to make sure people are getting the right the right answer to the right problem. So this is a way for them to schedule it. And I believe that we're going to put the link for this in with the recording and in with the chat today.
Yeah, Brady's going to type that right in. So guys, take a look at the comments section. We'll put all this information up in there along with the link. So make sure you click on that. And wow, I'm going to have to click on that and get one myself. I look forward to trying it. Well,
perfect.
Well, Deb, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to join us and really share some really, I think, some very applicable information to us, because, what I found in direct selling is it's so much about personal development that if you're not growing, your team won't be growing either. I mean, you can only your team can only grow to the level of the leader. So thank you. You've made us a better leader and better people today.
Fabulous. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, and thank you to each of you that's watching. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join us. Remember to click on the links down below. Also check out Deb's book that's online on Amazon, and also a reminder about Destination EA. Make sure you take a look at that, check your schedule, and join us down in Cancun, Mexico. Keep in mind, it's February. February's cold in most parts of the United States. So join us down on the beach and take a break from the winter. So until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks, everyone. Bye.